name is Jalen. For today's report, we will talk about a topic that many know, but only to an extent. Today, we'll be discussing refugees and the problems they face and cause in society. There are countless numbers of reports and countries with even more problems, but we only have a limited amount of time, so we're only going to talk about three of them: Central America, Europe, and Afghanistan. Though, before we get into that, here's a little background on our term refugee. The term refugee means a person that needs to flee the country due to war, violence, and prosecution. The first modern use of our term was all the way back in 1685 by Edict of Nantes, which sent the Protestant Huguenots to flee the country due to religious prosecution by French King Louis XIV. Huguenots were French Protestants in the 16th and 17th century who followed the teachings of John Calvin. He fled the country due to being prosecuted by the French Catholic government during a violent period. So the first region we're discussing is probably the most prevalent on this list. The first region is Central America. It's on this list due to millions of refugees that flee the country due to violence.
The refugee crisis has its roots in the violent conflicts that shook El Salvador and Guatemala in the late 20th century. In both El Salvador and Guatemala, the government and guerrilla fighters warred against each other. The Salvadorian Civil War lasted from 1979 to 1992. The Guatemalan Civil War lasted 36 years, from 1960 until 1996. Human rights abuses and enforced disappearances of detractors occurred in both countries. The number of Salvadorians that were fleeing the country were about 370,000 people. They all fled to the U.S. to escape violence and the civil war at home. The U.S. contributed to the problem by passing a law that increased the number of laws that foreign-born U.S. residents, including green card holders, could be deported for having committed the crime. This doesn't help the problem because many of whom are gang members. They're going back to Central America and clash with other gangs, which causes them to fight over land and territory. The fighting makes life much more dangerous for the civilians, so they flee to the country. Salvadorians, Guatemalans, and Hondurans have fled their countries for safety elsewhere. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees reported in 2016 that there were a 1,185% increase in asylum applications from Northern Triangle citizens between 2008 and 2015. Consecrated efforts by the U.S. in conjunction with Mexico to deter and deport immigrants who do not qualify as refugees has not significantly decreased by the number of Northern Triangle residents fleeing their home countries for safety. In early 2017, it was unclear how the possibility of a U.S.-Mexico border wall as proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump would affect the flows by refugees from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. The next region we are going to talk about is Europe, but before that, a word from our sponsor.
If you're in Europe and you're a refugee, you qualify for our assistance. Call our number 1-800-888-REFUGEES or come to us personally. Our address is Mount Blandy 11888. In the plaza, we're open 8 to 10 every day, Monday through Friday. Saturdays, we open 10 to 8, and Sundays, we open 10 to 10. That's 1-800-888-REFUGEES. That's 1-800-888-REFUGEES. Why not call? It's free. 1-800-call-REFUGEES. Come on in and you'll be pleased. And poor refugees like this have to suffer every day. So please, call and help. It's okay, man. They'll help us. One day.
Hi, my name is Rishan, and today we're going to discuss the refugee crisis in Europe. The crisis has so many problems on the big powerhouse countries in Europe, such as Britain, France, Turkey, and many others. The main problem is that there is an overflux of population in countries like Turkey. The big contribution to this problem is the Syrian refugees fleeing the Syrian civil war. Turkish natives are being forced to let Syrians into their homes and schools, their shops. The main organization that are helping to subsidize the overall effect of the problem are the UN and a lot of non-profit organizations.
The refugee crisis does not stop there. There is also a big problem in Afghanistan. This is affecting Afghanistan people because the main thing that is contributing to this problem is the number of people that are refugees and victims of war and social standing. This caused the people to feel that they are in an unsafe place, so they flee their country in search of a new safe haven. All the people of Afghanistan who are in a difference and trying to find a way out, how to stop this. Patricia Gossman, the senior researcher of Afghanistan at the non-governmental organization Human Rights Watch, is trying to get the EU to allow more Afghanistan asylum seekers the right to stay. This would decrease the amount of refugees that are in Afghanistan and also affect the rest of the world in a positive way. We'll be back shortly after these few announcements.
Poor refugees like this one have to suffer every day. And we need to take action now. Millions of innocent people are being forced out of their homes, but what can we do to help? Well, with our program, we have great news. With just $1 a month, you can help out millions of refugees across Europe. All you have to do is call our number, 188-888-REFUGEES. That's 188-888-REFUGEES. So please call and sign up to help poor kids like this see another day and have a great meal. Thank you.
Now, although this is happening, that does not mean there is no solution to this matter. Like you have all heard through our video so far, there are people that have already started to contribute to making less refugees. We also have brought up one main solution: spreading awareness. I know it might sound cliche, but spreading awareness about this cause and magically it will help out. The only reason why most of the times it sounds cliche is we hear it too often. Since we hear spread awareness for this cause or donate for this cause, why don't we help out? Sure, there's a lot of problems going on in this world and you might think that it's a lot of time and money that you have to waste. Then why not spread your awareness or donate to at least one cause? It won't hurt by telling people that you talk to every day about this problem. It won't hurt if you donate around $1 to any cause, especially this one. That is why we believe that if you start to make a difference, we can start a chain reaction that can maybe eventually make the world refugees a thing of the past. This could also spark inspiration to stop another problem. Thank you.